Okay, it is now my pleasure to introduce our main speaker, Jimmy D from Malibu.
I can't seem to face up to the facts.
Hey, everybody.
I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax. I can't sleep cause my bed's on
I'm Jimmy. I am an alcoholic. That might be the worst thing I've ever heard at an AA meeting, but that was fantastic. Hey, congratulations. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you, Bruce, for having me. Did I tell you my name is Jimmy? I'm an alcoholic. The music threw me off. First thing I want to tell everyone in the room, number one, I didn't always look like a cop. This used to be a very punk rock haircut when I got it back in 1979. Most of the guys my age had mullets back then, but I was a rebel. By the time I was 30, I was like 19 back then, and by the time I was 30, I started looking like a cop, which is a heavy cross to bear, man. It just morphed. I morphed. Now I'm 64 years old, people, and everywhere I go, people think I'm an old military guy. Everybody thinks I look like I've been in the military. I never been in the military. I did a short tour in the Salvation Army, but I don't get any credit for that. No stolen valor from me. Hey, I'm thrilled to be here. I don't think I've ever been to this meeting. I love the name of the meeting. I forgot what it is now. We are not a glum lot. Fantastic. Hey, I think it's a serious topic. I really do. If I couldn't figure out how to I like what the book tells me. The book tells me we absolutely insist on enjoying life. If I couldn't figure out how to have fun around here, I know I couldn't stay. I know I couldn't stay. Now, when I was new, I was so desperate, I thought, okay, my fun is over, but man, I got to do it. I got to do it. And I was wrong. I've had more fun than anybody deserves. I'm happy to be here. Had an easy drive. There was no traffic. Last night I drove to Dickens Street I live at Zuma Beach, and I drove to Dickens, which is Sherman Oaks. I swear to God, it was like in the 70s. There was no traffic. I got there in under 40 minutes, which is unbelievable. But last Friday was a little different. Last Friday I drove from where I live in Malibu. I drove to Friday to Upland, California to speak at the AA meeting. Upland, California. That was 2 hours and 55 minutes on a Friday. On Sunday, Sunday I had less traffic. 2 hours and 40 minutes. I talked at the Newport Club in Newport Beach. I tell you that right off the bat so you know I'm willing to go to any length to listen to myself uninterrupted. Because this is my favorite part of any meeting, when I get a chance to talk. I mean, the cakes were nice. Congratulations to everyone for everything. But, this is my favorite. My home group's a 1-hour discussion meeting. I sit there 55 minutes. I have no idea what anybody's saying. I'm just waiting for my 5 minutes. So I always seem to get a lot out of it. Hey, I love AA rooms like this and people like you. Can we talk to the security about the glare in my face there? Who do we talk to? Can I put my glasses on? All right. No crosstalk. So, happy to see my friend Jimmy Jr. sitting in the back there somewhere. And I love AA. I owe AA. I'm not too cool to tell you folks, rooms like this and people like you turned my whole life around when I was a young man. I do not have what it takes to have lived the life I lived, and I know exactly where I got the power to live the life I lived. I know it came because I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I sat around these meetings and I picked up on what's going on here, and I've done some of the stuff that they suggest, and I want to welcome the new people. I will just tell you, man, this is the best show in town. I've been around the world. I've been a business owner, homeowner. I've had more love in my life than anyone. I got more friends than I can keep in touch with. I got more love than I could ever take advantage of. I got an 80-year-old plan for living that absolutely works, and it's not about me. It's about what's on offer for anybody that stumbles into the room of Alcoholics Anonymous. There is power here, and hopefully I'll get a chance to read something. I will tell you that I got sent to AA in 1975. By the juvenile court in the state of Pennsylvania, where I grew up. I was 16 years old in December of 1975. Anybody else from back east? Anybody ever drink in the cold or back east in the Midwest or anything? All right. All right. So Yeah, I've been arrested 11 times by the time I was 16 years old. I was in juvenile courts living in got sent to a boys' home, and I had to go to 16 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was arrested a bunch of times, but I was not a criminal. You know, like some of you guys out there. I see you sitting out there. But, you know, I was a kid. I come from a broken alcoholic home, and I was unsupervised, and it was a bad situation at home. And for some reason, unlike a lot of speakers that you'll hear around the world, you know, they come from good families and they had all kinds of potential. They were great athletes in high school, and their drinking increased in college, and then all that potential gone. And that's not my story. My story is for all those who showed no promise in anything. Because I'm tall, but I can't jump. I'm not a techie. I don't know how to fix nothing. I'm a D- student when I cheat. I'm sure there's some surfers in this town. I can't surf. I don't even know how to fish. I can't surf. From Pennsylvania, I can barely swim. But, I showed no promise in anything but like burglary. You know, I had a little something going there. Anyway, I got arrested for kid stuff: possession and consumption of alcohol by a minor, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest every time, urinating in public, all the classy things. One of those urinating in public, I didn't even bother to get my fly down. It's just too much work. As some of you folks know, some of the guys here know, I can see them sitting out there. Listen, life is about seconds and inches, man. How we're still here and how our life went, seconds and inches could have been very different. I'm lucky I never had to register as a sex offender. Because some of you guys know, cops, they don't want to get you. Even when I was a kid, they didn't want to get me for urinating in public. The cops always wanted to get me for indecent exposure. Luckily, I've got insufficient evidence. So it's not all bad. Right, John? You know. I'm grateful for the little things, so to speak. When I was a kid, by junior high school, I discovered drugs and alcohol. By junior high school, I was hanging out I knew I'd need money because I loved getting drunk. And I don't know if you folks can tell, but I'm a glue sniffer and a PCP smoker. When I got to A, I had that PCP glare, like, whoa. And, but I started in junior high. As soon as 8 o'clock in the morning, I didn't like school, and I'm not the only one in this room didn't like school, but I like to go to the school. And I go up to the cafeteria first thing in the morning and hit everyone up, the same people, year after year, started in junior high. Hey, got a nickel, got a dime, got a quarter? By 8:30 in the morning, I'd leave campus. I was a truant. I'd leave campus with $2.50 or $3 in change and go hang out in the back behind the liquor store, Pico's Liquor. And I'd sit there with a couple of buddies, sometimes a girl, and I'd see the same adults coming in every day. I'd say, hey, can you get me a run? Back then, this was early 70s. Back then, I'd give a guy $2 and say, keep the change, because I could get, for $1.80, I'd get a bottle of Banana Red, MD 2020. Anybody know what that is in Ventura, California? All right. Those of you who don't know, MD 2020, it's actually a Schedule I hallucinogen that somehow this stuff made it into the wine section of liquor stores. And trust me, wine, this stuff's never seen a grape. This stuff was like having it was like rocket fuel, like having meth in the energy drink section, because MD 2020 take you downtown fast. And I was on the MD 2020 diet. Lose 3 days in 1 week. And so bad. Sometimes I got in trouble. I'd have to take it easy. For $2.20, I get a 6-pack of 16-ounce Colt 45. And that doesn't make me a big drinker. Everything I drank had a number: Bacardi 151, Old English 800. But it doesn't make me a big drinker. I've met the guys in AA. I've heard guys in AA say, yeah, I drank for 40 years, 5 gallons of whiskey every day for 40 years. But I'll say this, when you're 14 years old, you've been sniffing glue and smoking angel dust, a 6-pack of 16-ounce Colt 45, 9 o'clock in the morning, got me in a lot of trouble. I've been arrested in the snow with no shirt on, drunk, blackout drunk, 10 o'clock in the morning, picked up by the cops over and over, taken back to school, taken back to my mom's work. And it was pretty bad and pretty pathetic. But my real thing was keg parties. I'm a keg party guy. Everybody in this room has been to a keg party, right? Yeah, man, because, God, they're my favorite because I never had any money, but I'd hear about it. So-and-so's house, 8 o'clock Friday night, I'd be there at 6:15 with a pitcher, ready to go, getting my drink on. I'm the first one at the keg, and I don't move until somebody moves me. I know all the tricks, turn around, all lifting up, and just taking as many. In 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'd have 10, 12 beers, quick. And eventually bigger, older guys happened over and over. This kind of thing would happen. The older, bigger guys would notice there's 50 people in line and some idiot is not leaving the keg, and they'd move me away, and I'd have to resort to drink stealing. I'm a drink stealer. Any other drink stealers in this room? No? All right. Yeah. You didn't have to raise your hand. Look at that guy. Cor, look at that. Nobody doubts that anyway. Yeah, because some people did. There's cans and cups and bottles everywhere. Some people drink like this. And they set it down. Can you imagine? With a ninja like me, I know all the tricks. Hey, look who's here. Look. But I can't see. I'm a blind drunk. I'm a blind drunk. If I'm still up, I'm up. I'm not that drunk. But I can't really see. There's cans and cups and bottles. Some of you guys know. You're stealing drinks. There's a big risk every third, fourth one. Cigarette butts. That's right. They came out with them brown bottles, man. It's the risk you had to take. And I don't have to tell you folks, because I know that you know. People hate drink stealers. They hate them. I've been beat up bad many times, beat up by little dudes and chicks. And a typical night for me, this is how you get sent to AA as a teenager, because this kind of stuff happened over and over. I'm at the party. I'm not just a blackout drinker. I'm grayed out. I'm gray. I'm at one party, then I'm at another party, but then I'm back here again. How did I get there? I was over there. And the next thing you know, I'm at the party, and I can't get in. I'm outside, it's freezing, and everybody's in. I can hear them not letting me in the party. They're not letting me in, and I'm bleeding. I'm bleeding. And I stumble home. 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't know how I got home, but next thing you know, I'm back home. I can't get in the house. I've snuck out. I forgot I snuck out. The back door's locked. I can't get in. I'm scared to death to wake up my mom. I'm in big trouble. So I'd sleep in my mom's car, freezing Pennsylvania winter. I'd come to in the morning. I wish I could tell you it only happened once, but I'll just tell you. I'd come to in the morning. The first time I couldn't believe it. My whole crotch, from my navel to my knees, all through my inner thighs, all the skin was gone. Red, raw, ripped off like a rash, full on. The skin was gone. And I was like, man. Who was I with, a stray dog? I mean, what has happened here? And then I'd see, it was so painful. I remember smelling my pants and realized, oh no, I did it again. I walked home with frozen piss pants. And chicks don't dig that. I can just tell you that. I'm that guy. I'm that guy at 15 years old, 16 years old. I'd hear about, people would say to me the next day, the whole next week, forever. They say, Jimmy, everybody saw you. You were at that party. You were trying to talk to girls and your pants were pissed. And man, it was awful. Good night. Yeah, I told you. Chicks don't dig that story. That's like traveling music for some of the ladies. That's all right. I'll drive home feeling better. I'll be the last one in the room still talking. They told me the speaker gets 45, but I figured, I'll go to about 10:30, 10:15, because. So yeah, next thing you know, It was awful being me. That's really the truth. You know, I laugh about it. I've been laughing about it a long time, but I never forget. You know, it was ugly and it was awful being me. I know what it's like when your neighbors look down on you. I know what it's like when you're totally isolated. You know, Clancy used to talk about the perception. You know, our perception changes. When we're alcoholic, we drink, our perception changes. And I remember my perception was everybody's partying like me. We're all partying. And I had the best few years of my life. And then my perception, I couldn't get it to change anymore. I saw who I was, and I saw how people looked at me. I know what it feels like when your neighbors and adults are looking down on you. The cops are looking down on you. The school teachers and principals are looking down on you. And my own, peers. And it wasn't cool. And I'm living in a boys' home. And the same year I was living in the boys' home, I got sent to the Scared Straight program. And I will tell you right now, your speaker does not respond well to tough love. I didn't dig it. I've had inmates screaming at me. It never inspired me to want to clean up my life. Really, it just made me hate convicts. But, I'm down with you guys now. You're my people. But as a kid, I didn't like that stuff. I don't like it now, tell you the truth, being screamed at. Tough love doesn't work for me. But you know what I noticed in December of 1975? The old guys in AA were kind to me. I had to go to 16 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous in the first 8 weeks that I was at this home, and they came in the first night. It's like 3 guys came in, and I knew one of them. There was an old guy in my neighborhood. I recognized the guy because he had a gold Dodge Dart with an Easy Does It bumper sticker. And I recognized this old guy from my neighborhood. And let me tell you, those old guys, then they took us out. I had to go out to the AA meetings, and I noticed it. And you know what? Nobody can tell me any different. First of all, these old guys were kind to me. They gave me rides. They gave me cigarettes. The old AA guy said, "Kid, I'm going to pick you up right here tomorrow night at 7:30 for the 8 o'clock AA meeting." And let me tell you something, kid. When an AA guy tells you he's going to be there at 7:30, he's there at 7:30. Do you know, through my brain damage, I understood what he was saying. I knew there was something solid. I didn't know the word was integrity, but I knew it was different because these guys were kind to me. And first of all, they gave me rides. They gave me cigarettes, 2-3 cigarettes for the road they'd give me, and I would take them. And cigarettes were like 35 cents a pack then. I think today at $10, $12, none of the new people are getting cigarettes. I don't think so. Got to roll your own, I guess. Kindness is the language of Alcoholics Anonymous. Nobody can tell me different. I feel it every night I walk into an AA meeting, especially the good meetings. I feel it when I walk in. And I got to tell you, I get something out of these AA meetings I don't have on my own. I don't have on my own what I get in here. This is where I get reminded who I really am and where I really come from and how much this plan for living has helped me, how much this language, this laughter, this love, because I don't have it on my own. As you can tell, I'm not smart, I'm not educated, and no one's ever accused me of being emotionally well-adjusted. But hey, I've gotten power because I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've tapped in. And man, I wouldn't give up my seat in AA for anyone or anything. Let me tell you what these old guys in AA said to me. First of all, they were probably in their 30s or 40s. These old guys said, "Kid, no one ever said I was too young. No one called me a drug addict. They said, "Kid, you are lucky to know about this AA at your age. Man, I wish I'd have known about AA. My whole life would have been different. I wouldn't have lost my family, wouldn't have gone to prison." Whatever they said, they had all kinds of stories. I'd hear it before the meeting, after the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting. They said, "Kid, you stick around this AA, and you can't imagine the life you'll have. You can't imagine the kind of life you'd have if you stick in this AA." And I remember exactly what I thought and felt when they said that. I thought, come on, mister. You don't even know me. You don't know me. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I had the opposite of the Midas touch, and I knew it. Everything I touched turned to crap. Bad stuff happened in my little life, in my little world, early on. My best friend was a good kid named Eric Hagman. He had mom and dad in the house, a beautiful sister. He wasn't a druggie. He was just a drinker like everyone. in my neighborhood. And I turned him on to that PCP, and he went the next day and the next morning, went and walked in front of the Metroliner, high-speed train, dead. I was 15, he was 16. And I knew, and everybody knew, that that guy's a jinx, man. You go out with that, you party with that guy, you're lucky to get home at all, go home in the back of a police car. And, you know, bad stuff happened. Well, you know what? Now it's like, first of all, that's almost 50 years ago, December 75. God, it's like 48 years ago. And, you know, it's like those old AA guys were looking in a crystal ball. It was like they knew the future. They knew. I was the first one by the same judge in the same town, guys I knew. I was the first one sent to AA, but that judge sent like a half a dozen, 7, 8 kids to AA that same year. And none of those kids, none of my friends, none of them lived to be 30. My friends crashed cars. 2 guys I knew, my age, a little older, crashed cars going 100 miles an hour in a 30 miles zone, a year apart from each other, same street. My next door neighbor died of a heroin overdose when I was 3 weeks clean and sober. Those old AA guys knew the truth. I listened to them then, I listen to them today. I perk my ears up. My sobriety date is May 10, 1977. 2 weeks ago on Friday, I celebrated 47 years clean and sober. And my life went very different. My life went very different. Man, I don't have what it takes, but I know that that judge sending me to AA, and for whatever reason, in my complex personality, I just thought, man, I can't drink. I want to not drink. I want to get some of this good stuff I'm hearing about in these AA people, because I knew my life was dead end. And for whatever reason, I've kept coming back. And like I said, I wouldn't give up my seat for anyone or anything. And I'm not one of these guys you hear in AA. We hear them. I drank 5 gallons of whiskey every day for 40 years. Didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't work, just drank 5 gallons. And after 40 years, I walked into my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the obsession to drink and use was lifted. You ever hear these guys? Come on, really? And you're still coming back? Why? I didn't understand it. I'd hear guys say that, you know, if that would have been the case for me, there never would have been a second meeting. I wouldn't have gone back. I got sober the old-fashioned way, man. It was painful, agonizing, sitting on my hands, chain smoking, watching the clock. One day at a time, the miraculous tool, one day at a time, watching the clock for that next AA meeting. Because like I said, I'd sit in that meeting for an hour and I'd hear something. I'd hear 5 minutes of something that sort of made me think, God, maybe there's hope for me too. Maybe there's hope for me too. And you know what? As agonizing and as difficult as it was those early days, I have to tell the new people, absolutely, flat out, it got easier. It got easier. Those early days are difficult. If you're struggling, trust me. Keep coming back. Do some of this work. Sit on your hands. Go to as many meetings as you can. The second week, the third week gets easier than the first week. The second month is a little easier than the first month. Boy, you put a few years together, a lot of us are free. I am absolutely free. I've been free a lot of years. I'm free. I don't think about drinking. I can comfortable in my own skin most moments of most days. I can do life. I can be in awkward situations in life and not need a drink anymore. And man, that's a freedom I wouldn't give up. I love it. It's because I didn't think it would ever happen. And so it's a good thing. Keep coming back, new people. There's something going on here. There's power. I'm going to read to you about power in a minute. And I will tell you, I turned 18 years old sober. And I couldn't go to college. My mom had zero money. I'm a D- student when I cheat, as I told you. I couldn't go to the military on a technicality. I'm a coward. So what's a big dumb loser like me going to do? First of all, this guy, like many of you here tonight, I'm sober today happy, joyous, and free because someone in AA took interest in my case. Somebody helped me. That guy with the gold Dodge Dart and an Easy Does It bumper sticker, from the day he saw me in a boys' home when I was 16 till a year and a half later when I was begging him to take me to a meeting, because I didn't stop right away. I got out of that boys' home, I was drinking again. He used to pull his car over. I'd see him in the neighborhood and I'd hide because I smell like weed. And, I'd hide. And he'd pull his car over right in traffic. He'd stop in traffic, get out of his car, and walk over to me and say, Jimmy, man, are you coming back? We're going to save you a seat. We're saving you a seat at the meeting. You're going to come back and see us? Then he'd give me these big AA bear hugs, cheek to cheek on my cheek. And he'd say, I love you. And I remember thinking, oh, God, this guy is so creepy. But I got lucky because this guy didn't want anything weird from me. This was an AA guy doing the AA deal, carrying the message. All he did, he was retired. He went to H&I every day in prisons. And this guy spoon-fed me Alcoholics Anonymous. He pulled me out of scrapes. I slept on his floor. And, how do you thank a guy for saving your life? This guy got me a job. Got me back into school. I hadn't been to regular school in over a year and a half. And he got me into school. And as you can tell, I didn't do well, but he got me a job at Sears. I made $2.30 an hour at Sears. And man, it was unbelievable. Then he got me the most amazing thing of all. He got me a driver's license, which I wasn't supposed to get till I was 21. I turned 18. The guy got me a driver's license and knew somebody. AA people know people. I got my driver's license, and I drove his gold Dodge Dart. And I'd have these little errands to run. I'd be picking up derelicts and taking them to the A&A meetings. And let me tell you, when I was young doing it, I wasn't thinking like, oh, isn't this cool? Look at me, sober guy. This is awesome. It was lame. I hated it. But somehow I think it saved my life. There was something, I just thought, maybe if I do something good in this world, maybe if I just keep holding on, maybe my life will go different. Well, you know what? I told you I've been arrested 11 times. I could show you on a map. All 11 arrests were in the same 4 square blocks of where I grew up. I never been anywhere. But I was sober in AA, and I got some kind of confidence. I saved $600 from working at Sears, and I said, maybe if I didn't consciously say this, but looking back, I must have thought, hey, maybe if I don't drink, and I don't use, and I go to those, maybe they got AA, maybe AA's got my back. Maybe they got AA in California. Because, I'm from back East California. It looks spectacular in the movies and TV and everything. And so I thought maybe I'll go to California. I knew, back then they called it granola country, the land of fruits, nuts, and flakes. And I knew I'd fit right in. And you could tell by the purple tie anyway. No, don't believe that. So anyway, where was I? Oh, so I went to California, and I don't have time to get all into the book and the steps tonight. They're important deals. They're important stuff. And God, I'll just tell you this. My experience has been, look, that book is super helpful, man. That book has launched this whole, the greatest thing in the 20th century. And it sparked a whole revolution, and all my friends and all my life changed because that guy wrote that book all those years ago. And my life is still good because of that book. But you know what? I can read that book till I'm blue in the face. I pray to God till I'm blue in the face. I often feel nothing. My experience has been, book's not enough for me. God's not enough for me. If I don't surround myself with other brothers and sisters on this path, I got nothing. I have always needed, because I felt like I've been given the message from other living, breathing examples in AA, other guys and girls like me that don't drink and don't use and come to the AA meetings and talk about how they're living sober, how we bumblingly follow the plan of living sober in Alcoholics Anonymous. And so what did I do? I ended up, first I bounced around. I knew a guy, slept on some guy's couch, a cousin of a sister's boyfriend up in Santa Cruz, California. I was up there for a little bit. But then about 19 years old, I ended up over there at Ohio Street, over there in West Los Angeles. And if you don't know about Ohio Street, they got about 5, 6 meetings a week. There's 250 people in there. And back then, they had 250 people 5, 6 nights a week, and about 30 or 40 of us were under the age of 25. There's a lot of youngsters in there. If you go there tonight, the Beachcombers Saturday night meeting, there's 250 people. None of them are 25. They're all young. It's a little pocket of enthusiasm, young kids staying sober. And just like a lot of you folks, I met up with my friends and went to the meetings, went to different meetings, trying to live this life and trying to have a little life, going to AA. Did all kinds of different things, roommates during the week, and bunking together and getting, finding, staying on people's couches and stuff. But we'd meet and go to the same meetings, just like you folks are doing right here in Ventura, California. I went to Monday night Kelton, Tuesday night 2+2. These are West LA meetings. Wednesday night, the Pacific Group, I'd sneak in. I never had a jacket. And Thursday night, the Young People's Gong Show. That was fun. Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I was. I was at Beverly Hills, California, over there on Rodeo Drive. I'd go to the Rodeo Drive speaker meeting, saw celebrities and stuff. That was fun. And Saturday night, be right back there at Ohio Street. And then we would go every Saturday. They had sober dances. They had sober dances in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard, in Venice at the Venice Circle. They had them in the Valley, Van Nuys. Anybody here in Ventura ever been to a sober dance? I see a show of hands. All right. So you can tell the others. It's a whole new bottom that you hit in sobriety. Oh, man. It's brutal, man. You find yourself in some church basement on a Saturday night, dancing to the oldies with a bunch of sober white people, man. It's a level of lame I never knew existed. But I was at all of them, and that's where I honed my moves. I got a few minutes left. I will tell you, folks. I was 5 years sober, 23 years old, failed at every job, never had $1,000 in my life, never had $1,000. Came to California, started with 600. I always hovered around 100, 200, 300 to my name. And I ended up living in the absolute armpit of the planet at that time, 1982, 1983. I was on Formosa at Fountain, which is basically Sunset and La Brea. A block from Sunset, there was all that, sex workers on Sunset. It was just grotesque. And then down at a block away, there was Boys Town, and man, I couldn't pay my rent. I was in a little unfurnished apartment. The rent was $300. I couldn't pay it. But you know what? Like I told you, I went to AA all the time, had AA commitments, and I was an AA dude that had 2 newcomers on my floor in the living room. I was on the floor too, but I was in the bedroom because it was my place. And those guys, first of all, one of them sober tonight, Roy Tate. I still see him often. He's 42 years sober. Those guys told me about a sales job. They said straight commission, a sales job, straight commission. I got to pay my rent. I can't sell nothing. They said, look, they're selling tools. I said, selling tools? I can't even screw in I don't even know how to do a light bulb, whatever you do with them, plug them in. They said, no, they'll give you, they said, there's an AA guy, there's 120 salesmen, big company out in the Valley, and the AA guy works there and he does the hiring. There's like 5 AA salesmen in there. The guy in AA will hire you and they'll give you $200 a week for 2 weeks training. And I thought, wait a second, is that $400? They said, yeah, $400. I said, dude, I told him, I said, man, I'll try it. Because I was telling him, I said, look, I was at the jumping off place. I said, I'm thinking about putting on a dress and walking down to Santa Monica Boulevard. No, don't judge. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. But $20 is $20, Right, Bruce? If you've ever heard his story, apparently he did that for years. I took that sales job. The AA guy hired me. He says, the AA guy, we were friends 35 years. The guy said, you got 5 years? I said, yeah. He goes, you got 5 years? I said, yeah. 1983, I had 5.5 years sober. I'd never had $1,000 in my life. They hired me. I was salesman of the year my first year. There were guys that had been there 25 years. I outsold them all. I had a big trophy. I was there about a whole nother year. I was there almost another year, top salesman. And I brag about that trophy. I never got one in sports. And listen, I had a technique. I wore people out. I wore them out. Just like I'm doing here tonight in Ventura, California on a Saturday night. And, you know, after a couple years, I've met all these guys, and even in AA, I met these business guys, and I just got courage, and I knew I had a skill, and I quit the company. I didn't want to do it. I stumbled into, with my business friends, I stumbled into another company. I started my own company called Rock Bottom Imports. I sold rock and roll stickers and pins and posters. And you know, the boss of that tool company said, Jimmy, don't quit. Don't quit. He says, I'll make you a sales manager. I'll give you profit sharing. I said, something about me, I wanted to sell. I sold rock and roll stickers and pins and posters. Well, you know what? That company, my boss's name was Eric Schmidt. And if you Google him, he owns it. That company became Harbor Freight. And Eric Schmidt is worth $5 billion. $5 billion. But I wanted to sell stickers, apparently. And so, you know, if you need any career advice after the meeting, you know, come and see me because I make really brilliant moves, people. At 5 years sober, never had $1,000 in my life. 6.5 years sober, I bought a house in Studio City, California. I was there a few years, started a company, had my friends, AA buddies work for me. We did trade shows. I had a lot of stores that bought product from me wholesale. A few years after that, I bought a house at Zuma Beach in Malibu. I've been out there almost 32 years. But since then, I've been living around the world. And, you know, there's another just unbelievable story. I have a little starter house on the bluff across from from Zuma, and I have a view of Broad Beach. And you know, right in front of me on Broad Beach, I can't look at the beach, Eric Schmidt has a house right on Broad Beach. My loving higher power put that in my life. I could care less, man. I've overpaid, underperformed and overpaid. I've had a miraculous life. And like I said, listen, I don't say that to say, hey, look at me. I'd say that because those AA guys were absolutely right. You stick around here, you don't know what's on offer. Nobody knows the future. But AA people often get, AA works often, and it works well, often. And people get all kinds of lives, passions for living. They get their family back. How often? How about every time? I've seen fathers estranged from their kids for a long time. They stick around AA. How often do they get some kind of relationship going with those kids again? How about every time? Same with mothers I've seen who've lost their kids. It's impossible if you stick around Alcoholics Anonymous, not drinking, not using, doing this work, being a member of this little slice of humanity. It's impossible for the outside world not to notice and know that a person like this deserves another chance. So I've seen it every time. And there's power going on here. Why don't I end with this? I will tell you, folks, that I've been married, honest to God, it feels like 50 years. It's 25 years. I'm married 25 years. I had 2 kids that grew up in a sober, drug-free home. You know, how do you put it? They grew up a lot different than me and probably a lot of others in this room. And how do you put a price tag on that? But listen, I didn't want my kids to be soft. I brought a lot of dysfunction into the house. And so they're messed up. Anyway, so so why don't I just read one thing? What do you want? Let's see a show of hands. Who wants to read about the fellowship? I got 2 minutes left. I'll either read about the fellowship or about power. I'm going to read about power. You know why I want to read? I'm going to say them both real quick. You'll hear people in AA say, fellowship ain't going to keep you sober. Fellowship ain't going to keep you sober. It's the program. Fellowship's nothing. That meetings ain't going to keep you sober. Well, that's not what the book says. That's not what the book says. Look what the book says. Page 152. Of course we have to do the work. Of course we have to do the work if we want to change. The guy's saying, hey, I'm willing, But the guy's trying to stop drinking. Am I going to be consigned to a life where I'm going to be stupid and boring and glum like some righteous people I see? I know I got to get along without liquor, but how can you? How can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? Now, Bill Wilson's writing a book. He could have wrote anything. Substitute is your relationship with God. Substitute is your sponsor. Substitute is, meditation. He could have said anything. He said, yes, there is a substitute, and it's vastly more than that. It is the fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. There you will find release from care, boredom, and worry. Your imagination will be fired. Life will mean something at last. The most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead, new people. Thus we find the fellowship, and so will you. The other thing I wanted to read, the fellowship's important, man. I love my brothers and sister in AA. I got living, breathing examples. This is where I get the joy. The book he wrote, Frequent Contact with Newcomers and Each Other, it's the bright spot of our lives. I don't know about you folks. I got business, family, obligations. It's all fine. But I get something out of this. The bright spot of my day is when I see my brothers and sisters and hear this language, I get reminded of how much we got going here. I never forget. Alcoholism is ugly. When it's on, I laugh about it. I laugh about my life, but I never forget. If you got alcoholism, it's not a cold beer at the beach. It's not a cold beer on the beach. Alcoholism is full of domestic violence, traumatized children, despair, unspeakable loneliness, cops, court cases. If your life's anything like my life, I've been away from that kind of awfulness for a long time. So when I come to AA, I'm cheering from the rooftops, letting people know this is absolutely the best thing. I haven't lived that ugliness in a long time. So anyway, I've gone over too long. I love AA. I love you folks. Thanks for putting up with me, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's thank our speaker one more time.